Shalom, welcome to Kabbalah Academy. Today we're going to take a look at the word anger. First, the English word anger through the crown jewel and Lashon, and then we'll look at two different permutations of the Hebrew words anger. There's many. Of one which is also used in the sense of when Hashem gets angry, but as well used for us. So the main point, the main focus is the anger from our forms, that arises from our forms. One of the greatest sins is to become angry, right? Anger is a great sin. Anger is forbidden in Judaism. Okay, so when we become angry, we disagree with Hashem, so to say. Even though he or she may have made a choice, yet it lays within the possibility, in the sum of all possibilities, and therefore it has a right to exist. Okay, so it is part of the situation, even though it is asked of us not to become angry. It is a choice, and that choice has to be respected. And the one that becomes angry, he or she will be held accountable, but not via us. We're not the ones to do that. Okay, so let us start. Anger. That would be an aleph for the A, a nun for the N, a gimel for the G, an ayin for the E, and a resh for the R. So immediately, Ra, if you reverse it, right? You have also a ger, a stranger, because one who acts upon his forms is considered a goy, right? When you react upon the forms, you're a goy, you're not yashar. Okay, you're not acting through the straight light. The gimel itself being the progress, right? And the aleph nun values 1 and 50 is 51, and 51 is the value of Kala, which is the bride, but the destroyer bride. You have also Kala with a H. So Kala, 51, so that's the destroyer bride, right? Who comes and whip your rear end, so to say. And then if we look at the sum total, you have another 3, and you have 70, and you have 200. These are, of course, 70 nations and the forms. So progresses, right? The 70 nations and the forms progress the destroyer bride. Okay, so let us calculate the sum total. 200 plus 70 is 270 plus 3, 273, 323, 324. And 324 is the increment of 323, which is another thing that it progresses, namely Hari kat gun. This is the accuser, the prosecutor, which goes by the name of Satan, also the prosecutor. Okay, the accuser. So that's what anger does. Now, a triangular would be as such: aleph, aleph, nun, aleph, nun, gimel, aleph, nun, gimel, ayin, and aleph, nun, gimel, ayin, resh. Okay, so that's the triangular expansion. The sum total thereof 200 plus 140 is 340. 349 plus 200 is 549 plus 5 is 554. 554 in the full Gematria, and 554 is the value of Ben Basar, son of flesh. Son of flesh, because the chitzoniot, the externalities, the flesh, right? When we here's flesh, the end of all flesh. Left column, din, judgment. Yes, it's anger comes from judgment. Okay, the left side, and a fool always leans left. So these are the forms. These 6 I hate. These 7 are an abomination. This system that isn't, when it's not connected to the upper, that's when it acts upon physicality, externalities, and always leans to the left. So the end of all flesh being bina, being judgment, hard judgment, and din. That's where anger comes from. Okay, so son of flesh, it's also the value of there. Yes, so 100. Ishmael, son of Hagar, Ben Haima, because son of the mother. Ishmael, son of the mother, again leans to the left, right. Ishmael was born to Abraham yet uncircumcised, okay? So that's what it means. No fire offering, no oil, no ascension. Ishmael ben Haima, 554. Also that same value. Now, next interesting thing is when we expand it in the Milui, and that's as such: Aleph, Nun, Gimel, Ayin, and Reish. And the value was found not in the sum total thereof, but in the, let me check, I think in the final letters. 350, 380, 430, 510, that's precise. And 510, again we had Kala, so that's a full tree, because man is a tree. 10 times 51, rooted in the destroyer bride Kala. Okay, destruction. So far for the English word, right? And let's flip the board. Clean start. The first word would be Ka'as. Ka'as, and it is written as follows: Kaf, Ayin, Sameh. To carry, Kaf, carry, 70, which are again these 6 ayat, these 7 are an abomination, times 10, each having 10 sub-sefarim. So carry in the 70 cycle, and this is a cycle because the cycle is a closed system, right? There's no rush, there's no connection to the upper, yet everything in it comes from the left, okay? Rooted in din, judgment. So what else would interesting? Let us do first of all the triangular expansion. No, we'll do the middle one. So that will be kaf, ein, and samech. And the Gematria here, this word is also used for Hashem, right? Don't provoke Hashem to anger, it says, right? Or when they provoke Hashem to anger. So the value here is 20 and 80 is 100. Ein is 130. It's namely 70, 80 plus 50, 130. Samach is 120, namely 60, 40, and 20. Yes, correct. So the sum total there is 350. 350. What is 350 telling us? Nothing yet, but I found the following in the Milei. Yes, okay, so let us do that again. The Milei is when we take the additional, the pregnant letters. These are the pregnant letters. So this is 80, this is 60, and this is 60. So that is 200 altogether. 60, 20 and 40, 60, 50 and 10 is 60, 80. 120 and 80 is 200, which is the value of Samech, Mem, another value here was the ordinal. Yes, so 11 and 13, 24, 38, 48, 58 plus 7, 65. And 65 is the value of Adon. It's also the Adin, the incolel of Din, judgment. Din, 50, 10, and 4 is 64. So rooted in judgment, right? There's judgment. So, and there's another value of, if we do a triangular expansion, you get the following: Kaf, Kaf, Ein, Kaf, Ein, Samech. That is 60 plus 140 is 200, 260. I already told you. It says you provoke Hashem to anger, right? This is the tenfold of Yirah Hari. And not surprising is the Katan value, which is the small, that will be a 2, a 2, a 2 is 6, a 7 and a 7 is 14, makes 20, and another 6 is 26. The Katan value is also 26, so Yirah Hari is definitely in the squaring, okay? So whether that be the minor Yirah Hari sits on the throne and Tiferes, or that be Yirah Hari, which you provoke, okay? Through the mother, of course, and the mother executes judgment. So, what else? The ordinal value here was also interesting because that shows us of, this is 11, 11, 11, 33, 16 and 16, 32. 33 and 32. And 15. 65, that's 80. And 80 is the value of Yisod, right? And Yisod is that bridge, right? Yisod is that bridge that executes upon the Malchut, upon reality. So that's also found in there. Let us go to another triangular expansion, because I already said this was to carry, this is the 70 within the cycles, right? The Ein Samech values 130, and 130 is in Kolel of Samael. Okay, so to carry Samael. Okay, so the seven-headed serpent, the six-eyed, the seven-armed abomination, de 6 forms Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, Netzachot, Yesod, and Malchut. Okay, so let us proceed to the next triangular expansion, and that is namely the expansion, the triangular of the Milui, and that is as such. You do Kaf, 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 Ayin, and then Kaf, Ayin, Samech. Kaf, Kaf, Ayin, Kaf. Yeah, so that's the next. Okay, so what were the values there? Well, the ordinal total value 11, 11, 11, 17, 17, 17, 16, 16, 20, 14, 14, 15, 13, and 11 makes a total, and feel free to recalculate it, of 203 ordinal. 203 ordinal, and that's the value of bara. Why bara? Writing backwards, bara. Bereshit bara, hinting at Beria, hinting at, again, judgment, bina, coming from the left side. Okay, we're talking about a permutation of anger still. So here's your din, your judgment. Let me see, did we have another permutation there? Well, there was a 42 ordinal of this expansion, 42 ordinal of this expansion, and 42 is of course also the value of Ima. Ima. Yes? So, rooted in the mother. And that's why we had Ishmael ben Haima, right? A son rooted in judgment, in din, in gevura, right? Because within Zerampin, the next would be gevura. So, left column. That's why you find these values there. Okay, I think it's time for the next word, and that would be af. Short word, easy to write. What shall we do? I think that should fit. So, af. Af. Okay? Einfeld, 81. 81. I forgot one thing. I forgot the Atbash, and I want to take you to the Sefer for all the prerequisites by Yirah H'ari that teaches you everything you need to know for having the right prerequisites for understanding these writings of the sages better, the Zohar better, and let us go there and I'll show you the ciphers. Written by Yirah H'ari, available on bookbaby.com, and Amazon.com. If you cannot afford a physical copy, we will provide you of one PDF thereof. And then on page 390 you'll find these ciphers. You see here fronts and backs of the Sefirot, right? These pairs. So this is the Alam cipher. That's the regular cipher we use. Now if we take the word Ka'as, then you have the Kaf here. If we go to the Atbash, which sits right next to that, you'll find a Lamed in the place of a Kaf. Then if we look at the Ayin, that is over here, right? The socket of Chesed. Now, the Chesed here is a Zayin. And then the Samech sits in the socket of Da'as. And the Da'as here is a Chet. So that would give us Kas in Atbash being La Zach. Lamet Zayin Chet. Let's see what that's telling us. Because Lachas is the mirror image of Chazal. And Chazal are the sages. And the sages practice Stoicism. So it's the opposite, you could say. Right? It's a mirror image. So it's Lazar telling me it's the opposite of what the sages do, right? And that's fine. And when you know it, when you learn about these things, because our Goyisher ways teach us that we have a right to be angry, it is not so. Once you become aware of this, you have a responsibility to work on that, right? And to start to understand that we all come from darkness and that we all come from ignorance, because darkness is not a substance, it's the absence of light, right? So we all have things to learn. Can you become angry at a baby for drinking milk? No, you cannot, okay? So, the opposite of what the sages do. Now, oath is an interesting word, because let me first expand it in the following way. Aleph, and then, so this is a triangular of the Milui, and then Aleph, Fe. Aleph, Aleph, Fe. And that gives us a value of 111 times 2, because Aleph is 111, is 222 plus 80, 302, 307. So this is 307, and 307 is Shin and Zayin. And Shin is fire, and Zayin is a weapon. And you see why I mention this, because there's more allusion to this weapon. I'll show you in a bit. So, Shin 300, fire, weapon. Anger is a weapon of fire, okay? A weapon of destruction, and fire also red, heat, judgment, okay? Can be part of purification also, as we saw. You can also anger, Yud H'ari Vav Kei, right? So that's one way of looking at it. The other way, where we also come across fire, is when we go again to these ciphers. Let's do it together. So we just did a word from Albam to Atbash. Now we'll go from Albam to Kusu. So Aleph would be, Aleph is the Shin in Kusu. See, that's the fire. And then the Fei is the Hay. So that is the fire of 5, right? The 5 Gevuros, right? These are the 5 Gevuros, and the Gevuros also allude to the left column, even though they're found on the right as well. But that's for a whole other study. So why worry? Okay. Just to do some practice with these ciphers, right? And this is why this cipher is so important. You can find values, sometimes you're not getting further, and you look at the words, how they, what letters they hold in the same sockets in the other cipher, and you'll be able to find way more values there. So that's what I did. Yes, okay, so if we take this Shin Hey, which we just found, right? Let us do Shin Hey. Shin Hey. If we expand that, let's expand it immediately because we have not so much space. Shin Hey. Then we have a value of 300 plus 10 plus 50 is 360 plus 6, 366. And 366 is also, and we found it in various occasions, we'll get the weapon, a sword again, Zion, Satan, okay? Satan, Sintat Nun. Sintat Nun being 359, Zion 7. These values are in there. So you see the weapon is not only on one occasion, it's in various occasions. I find that weapon and then I know I will use it for the video. The other way is to do the milui of the milui. So we had Aleph Fei, now we'll do Aleph Lamed Fei Fei Hey. So spelling out Aleph Lamed Fei Fei Hey. Okay? So we'll do that here. Aleph Lamed Fei Fei Hey. Yes, and that has a value of 111, 74, 85, 85 is 170, 170 and 6. So that'd be 80 plus 150, 250, 361. And 361 is the value of not Zayin Satan, but the Satan, right? Housed in Satan. 361, housed in the Satan. Okay, so anger, not a good thing. I know many people want to hold on to the idea that they have a right, yes, but he or she did me wrong. It's all from ignorance, and everyone has its arena to fight. Everyone has its darkness to enlighten. We all have to grow. So the anger, you should not take it for granted and work on it by studying Likkutei Yirah, by following Yirah's teachings, and by overcoming the voice of these forms. And we all struggle, I struggle also, but stay loyal to that or Yasha. Say, I want to cleave to righteousness. I want to cleave to what the sages, Chazal did, right? I don't want to act upon my forms. I don't want to let this serpent voice cut me off from the higher and from the usher. Okay, so much love, many blessings, till the next video. Shalom.